The Italian Gel Biafra films are quite astonishing. Oh my
Oh,
God.
shit. Welcome to the Coven Slumber Party with Ray of 5x5 and Sarah of Calling Corners, where we break down and geek out over the witchy, magical, and mystical media of the 80s, 90s, and more, and try and fill the video store-shaped holes in our hearts. Okay, so this week we're talking about 1977's Suspiria by Dario Argento, the legendary Italian horror movie director.
I'm so pumped to talk about Suspiria.
Me too. What a good choice, Ray. That was such a good suggestion.
Oh, it's so perfect.
It is so perfect. It is so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot. I haven't seen it since I was like, I don't know, I want to say like a teenager.
Yeah?
I forgot how awesome it was. This is the first real horror, like, where we like dunk down deep into the horrorverse that we've done so far.
Yeah. This is the first one where the witches are straight up evil.
Yeah, it's
like,
gory.
Yeah, they are terrible. They even say it, like it's a line in the movie where it's just like they are evil and they manipulate and they want material goods and they will like manipulate people and kill them even to get what they want.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, no joke. Like, oh, these dudes suck. But also, I love them.
Well, yeah, and going back to, okay, you know what?
Sorry. Yeah, what's this movie about?
Okay, I'll start off, I guess, and I'll give a summary of it, but I do want to preface this by saying this isn't the IMDb summary that I'm reading, but I feel like
okay.
This is just what I wrote about it, but I feel like the IMDb short-ass summary is relevant in this case. Like, I don't think there is much of an explanation to the plot in this.
No, not really.
It's very simple. Ultimately.
But it's also like there's so many questions. Like after rewatching it and like making notes and stuff, I was like, why is anything even happening?
Oh my gosh, I felt the same way.
Yeah,
I know.
I was like, I'm into it and I'm along for the ride, but
it was
why?
a confusing ride, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the summary. So, Susie Banyan travels to Germany to attend a prestigious ballet school, befriending fellow American Sarah while she's there. The two piece together the surreal, often fragmented, nightmarish goings-on at the school that include anyone who cuts ties with the school being murdered, hearing footsteps going into secret rooms, and the mysterious and unseen head director. Whispers of witchcraft and otherworldliness abound when she walks through the doors of the academy, which was supposedly founded by a Greek witch, Helena Markos, having evolved the school from a school of the occult to a school of ballet.
Isn't that amazing? But she also did dance. It was dance and occult.
Yeah.
And then she burnt and was like, we'll just do ballet now. Yeah, that was way better than the IMDb one. It doesn't even say anything about witches.
Really? Oh, that's kind of weird.
An American newcomer to a prestigious German ballet academy comes to realize that the school is a front for something sinister amid a series of grisly murders. It's like could be anything.
Yeah.
So you did way better.
Thanks.
You did the good.
Thank you. Yeah, and it stars an American actor, Jessica Harper, who became a cult movie actor in the 70s and 80s, and now she's a children's book author and a composer.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. I came across her website for her books. They're just like kids' books. They look cute, though.
So weird. Because, like, I, like, forgot about how fabulous, like, she was in Phantom of the Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing, but also was in Shock Treatment, which I haven't seen yet, but I like want to. See, this is the thing. I've talked to so many people that are like, I've never seen it, but I want to. Has anyone seen this movie?
Does it really exist?
Yeah, right? Like, I'm very confused.
Yeah, and in case this makes the actual podcast, Shock Treatment is the unfortunate, apparently, sequel to Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I don't know. I feel like it's probably still good.
I'm excited to watch it, and I just haven't yet. I don't know.
Researching and stuff, like you probably came across this too, that originally when it was written, Dario Argento wrote it with, I'm going to probably butcher her beautiful Italian name, Daria Nicolodi.
Oh,
I just
yes.
want to say Nickelodeon. It's probably different. But anyway, they wrote it together, and it's kind of based off of like an experience that she apparently like kind of dreamt about. A lot of her dreams kind of ended up sort of like integrating, and then they also took a lot from fairy tales and all of these strange sort of things that pretty much everyone around the world kind of in some capacity kind of like knows deep down
Mm-hmm.
or understands. I feel that was like, that's kind of like one of the reasons that it's so weird. Also, it kind of gets under your skin because you're just like, this is so familiar and I don't understand why. But it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're playing on all of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I had read somewhere, going through the research, was that Daria's grandmother had told her story of going to a ballet school where she experienced people performing black arts. Now, what that says to me is she probably walked by somebody's dorm room and they had like a Ouija board.
They had like more than one candle lit. And she's like, ah,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't mess with that.
Right? So I'm
Yeah.
inclined to suspect that that isn't really based too much on anything really valid, but
Yeah.
it made for a good script.
I love Suspiria. Like, I think it's amazing. Like, probably near perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not really sure of the plot. Which is terrible. You know, it's like, I was thinking about it earlier. I was like, cinematography, amazing. I was like trying to list everything positive.
Yeah.
And I was like, soundtrack and score, beautiful. Directing, yeah. Just like trying. And then
Yeah.
I was like, acting, I don't care. Dialogue, whatever. I was just like, it just seems less important for some reason.
It is less important. It is less important in this, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is because they were dubbing, which sounded weird as an overall thing, as is with that genre, but it helped then because they played Goblin the whole time while they were working.
God. Yes, so good.
Like how you would do a music video with the music playing.
Yes. It's so good. I love like a lot of choices that Argento did for this film. Where it's just like, no, we're gonna do it this way, and you're gonna get weirded out. And okay.
For somebody that works in the film industry and went to like film school, I don't ever watch movies with like a technical eye. I'm never like,
whoa, really?
Oh yeah, this is a moving camera shot, and this is. I'm watching it and I'm like, oh man, he just murdered the girl and now she's back from the dead. I'm eating it up, like. What I mean?
Cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I totally. It never has become a part of my like.
That's awesome. It didn't break you.
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, cool.
But this one is the only one I can look at those things and I notice them. And it's not in a shitty way though, where I'm like, oh, this is how they did this. It's like, it's very evident. Like the film techniques are very evident, but they're like, you appreciate them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel like it almost is like the camera work and everything is another element to add to the tension building or the uncertainty that you're supposed to feel, or just like, it's just another tool that they just decided to completely run with.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, we're going to constantly have the camera moving so no one ever feels comfortable and settled. We're like constantly going to cut back and forth or like just constantly be moving.
Yeah.
Doing weird shots because, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Because what did they call it? I wrote it down. Oh yeah, they used like a 3-strip Technicolor process, which is just like pressing the magenta and cyan and yellow together, kind of.
Yeah.
But like it looks, that technology is like gone now. It's extinct.
I think they actually destroyed the production company or whatever business that they went through to produce this film. Like after they did Suspiria, they like ditched all of the machines. They were like, we're done with this.
It was one of the last that was prepared. The film was prepared that way, but it so works for the movie. It's crazy how like much of a impact that has.
Yeah,
like the Technicolor.
It's just like, because like I rewatched it again with my friend that's like staying with me this weekend, and she was just like, the colors and like everything. I was like, oh, she commented on the blood because it is Argento movies. The blood is like oh, that is not blood.
Yeah, it's
Do you know what
very
I mean?
not
Like,
blood.
it's very fake. It's
It's
very
very
neon
paintish.
red.
Yeah.
Yeah. That almost like makes it weirder. He just, like I said, like just bumped everything up. He was just like, no, we're gonna do even more than we should.
Yes.
Just to make everything just like a little bit more intense, a little bit more uncomfortable, a little bit more like dreamlike, especially in Suspiria. Everything kind of just feels like a weird nightmare.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that you said nightmare because like that's the word that I kept using, and then when I actually started doing my like research on it, I was like, everyone's saying like nightmare or dream like, or what was dream logic, like was the word that they used. And it does, and it starts when Susie comes out of when she's in the airport and the doors keep opening for people and the music starts, but when the doors shut, it stops.
It's so beautiful, haunting, creepy, amazing. I remember the first time I watched it, right off the get-go, I was like uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because like, especially when you see the door open for the first time and the woman walks out and it's just crazy weather and she's just blowing around and like it's very calm and still inside and it's so far away and like the music, I was just like, eek, ack, what is going to happen right now?
Yeah.
And like the whole almost like intro kind of to the film of like her going to the school and coming back is like, even to the death scenes, really, it's just like, what am I even watching? Like, is this a nightmare that like I forgot about and someone decided to put it on film? Like, this is so uncomfortable and strange.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So
like
good.
even I read on one of the articles too, and I'm sure it's one that I'll link below. It's just I forget at the moment which one. But they were talking about like even Susie's facial expressions. Like they don't match like what would be probably warranted in situations that would be similar in real life. They're off.
Totally. Rewatching it again, I have so many notes on stuff about like, and things that I don't know if it meant anything,
right,
or why it was incorporated, but I feel like water was an element a lot in this movie. At the beginning and the end, it's crazy rainstorm. There's tons of shots of like up close. At one point at the beginning during the rainstorm, there's like a really close up shot of like a, I don't know, aqueduct or something, and then another close up shot.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like a close up shot of like water going through into like street grates and like water going down the sink and like always raining and stuff in the pool. I was like, what is this even about?
Yeah, there was a
like,
lot.
What does this mean?
Yeah.
Because that was a choice. That's very much a choice.
Oh, it is 100%. I don't know.
I don't either. Okay. So I was like, this means something.
We're so good at symbolism.
The only thing legitimately that I could think of was like the Wizard of Oz, because I was like, the witch gets melted in water.
Oh,
but I was like, is that even a thing?
Because that was out in the 30s or something. Is that one? Yeah.
So I actually have no idea if that's a thing, but that's all I could think of. And I was like, anyway, interesting.
It is. There's a lot of water. There's a lot of rain.
And like there's a reason, because this is the thing, like watching a decent amount of Argento movies, like he only shows you stuff that he wants you to know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, like Deep Red, for example, there's like a lot of weird, just completely out of movie shots of just close-up marbles and baby dolls and weird stuff. And you're like, I guess. That's the thing that I love about this genre, and him in particular. He gives you everything to answer the movie in like the first 15, 20 minutes.
That's awesome.
You don't know until the end, and you're like, holy crap.
That's so cool that you noticed that. Yeah, I'm going to go back and watch more of his library. It's been too long, and I haven't seen nearly enough of them. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like that, and that's what I like really appreciate about it. Like, I love a movie that can actually stump me, because like I'm a pretty observant person. So like sometimes stuff doesn't have the same impact on me watching it. I was like, oh, that guy's gonna die, or like, oh, that guy did it, and then it's like, oh, he died, or oh, he did it. I'm like, anyway. But if some movie can actually be like, yeah, we're gonna like make you think this, but also this, and we're gonna give you all of the clues visually in the first 20, 25 minutes or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always very strange because it's very purposefully done and seemingly out of nowhere, where you're like, I'm just going to zoom in on this glass.
Yeah.
for like 15 seconds. And you're like, okay. And then you're like, oh, someone murdered somebody with that glass. Oh, like stuff like that where you're like,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like that. It's just very groovy. Like
It
a little
is.
nod to Hitchcock, I feel like.
Yeah. No, it is. And
Yeah.
it does make it a little extra fun to watch.
It's even like multiple viewings because you're like, I know how that ended. And like sometimes you're like, oh, it's because I saw that, and that earlier. So you're like, I wonder what else I missed. And if you watch it again, you're like, oh, and I still get stuff.
And they do. I know he had a lot of conversations with the DP for this about like how to like navigate the narrative with light a lot. So I mean, everything's a conscious choice. Like the lighting in this movie is so fantastical. It's absolutely fantastical. It's so overly colorful, going back to the Technicolor aspect of it all. And it's purposeful. Like when I was watching the movie, I was like, this movie could really just be told in sound and color. Like it doesn't even need words. It could be I was going to say it could be a silent film. It could be a dialogue empty film and you would understand it.
Mm-hmm. And that's like, okay, just from what you're saying, I mean, you're obviously talking about the amazing soundtrack that you would need to stay in because the soundtrack, oof.
Yeah.
So perfect.
It is. It is.
Goblin. Bless them for existing.
I know.
Because everything in the and apparently Argento did like kind of like weasel his way in with the Bang Goblin and was like, I want you to play even weirder instruments and do weirder stuff and disembodied voices.
Yeah.
Kind of like push them a little bit more. But like, oh my God, the soundtrack is amazing.
It is. It is.
And it's like just as important as every other element in the film.
Oh my gosh, it so is. And it's interesting, like you said, like the disembodied voices, like they went beyond just playing regular instruments and singing. Like there's parts, one of the most frightening aspects of the film for me watching it is when I'm presuming it's the singer of Goblin, but when there's just those little moments where you just hear him yell witch, just like really randomly.
I know. Yeah. It's like, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very purposeful too. Like I think the first shot of the school we get is the first time we hear it, and it's so invasive. Like it's just like what it's
and
really
see
creepy.
That's the thing, it happens so subtly and weird, but like again, he's telling you everything in the first like beginning of the movie. Straight up, he's yelling witches at you and you're like, what's happening?
Yeah. While we're looking at their house, like yeah.
But like the soundtrack like is perfect. Like, because like if you think about taking any of these elements away from the movie, I don't think it works. If you get rid of the soundtrack, you kind of lose something. Like if you get rid of the intense color saturation, you kind of lose something.
Absolutely. But I mean, like you look at, like you were saying before, like the influences too, like Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and that sort of thing. Like for a color palette. I mean, you look at that movie and you're like, yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm. And like you said earlier, like the lighting was very purposeful. So for the most part, as far as I saw, there was like pretty much like 4 prominent like colors used for the lighting. Especially, I guess I'm referring to like the nighttime or like the spooky or the weird. Mm-hmm. There was the red, green, blue, and yellow, white-ish color.
Yeah.
And I just have one scene in particular in my head. It was when Sarah was trying to wake Susie.
Oh, yes.
And like
the green.
It was, it's kind of like basically at the the beginning of the end for Sarah.
Yes.
She knows too much and they're going to get rid of her. So she is in her room trying to convince her that like there's something strange going on, and Susie is like obviously unable to like get up or do anything.
Yeah.
And there's like this amazing shot where like the camera goes up and like shows the light bulb. Mm-hmm. And Sarah turns the light bulb off because she hears like people walking around. And so she's like trying to hide. But as soon as that happens, this like green glow comes in.
Yes.
And it's like the only thing is like, I'm assuming that's so we can see what's going on and she's in the dark.
That's what I thought.
But it's like such an intense way of doing that. Yeah. You know, like that's a purposeful, like you're super green now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could, like, during all of this, the plate of food that Susie had was just, like, glowing bright red. So it's like, he's very clearly, like, this are bad.
Oh, I didn't
This
notice
is
the
not
food.
good.
Oh, that's very
Yeah,
interesting.
like her whole tray is just lit up red, and she's in the corner, and then it like light goes off, it goes green, and then you see the light in Sarah's room that's next door to Susie come on.
Yes, because somebody's in there.
Yeah, and then you see like a bluish white, and she's like freaked out and runs away. But like all of those are like so purposeful.
Yeah. And that's
It's so good.
it is so good, you're right. And it's a visual storytelling, which is the essence and soul of filmmaking anyway. Because like the thing I hate the most is like when characters are explaining to you things that they shouldn't be explaining to you. This movie eliminates any of that. That scene in particular really plays on that fear of, or at least I thought, somebody testing your door from a hall.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I think of the Lovecraft story Shadow over Innsmouth, when the guy goes to the hotel in like the weird town of Innsmouth where everyone's a little creepy, and he can hear people testing the door.
Yeah.
It's just such a creepy thing. And they don't test her door, but you can see somebody turn the light on in the other room.
Someone's in there.
Yeah.
And it's not okay. Some of the scenes during that beginning, I'm gonna almost call it like the title scene. Like it's to introduce the movie. I feel like after it pans down and the girls are dead, like I feel like that's where most people would be like, Suspiria. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And now the movie.
Yeah.
Some of the shots in that were so beautiful.
Oh yeah.
To go back to like the beginning, not only like the taxi cab ride, stunning, gorgeous, ridiculous, but the shot where Susie's driving back into town and Patricia's in the woods again,
that scared me.
Yeah,
I found that
right?
very frightening. That shot.
It just gets you.
It's like, so Patricia's escaping the school, running through the woods. But the way that she's running and the way that it's lit seems so unnatural.
I know, she's almost puppety marionette trying to get away.
Yeah.
So strange.
Yeah.
Also, like, rewatching it, I was like, why is Susie not offering her a ride? Very weird, but whatever. All of that. And even, like, when Patricia gets to the apartment of where her friend lives, she, like, almost drunkenly and in, like, a daze stumbles into the elevator and is just, like, barely in control of her body.
Mm-hmm.
And then is perfectly coherent and normal when she's in the apartment. I was just like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, I made a note of how creepy that shot was in the woods. But going back, yeah, in that same, like, series of shots setting up that opener, when Patricia's in her friend's bathroom and she's scared, and we get that shot of, like, her looking out the window at the outside.
Yes!
That's my favorite shot in the whole film.
Yes, I have that written down because I was like, this is gorgeous.
It's so beautiful.
Visually stunning, but also scares the crap out of me. And I was
Right?
like, that's well done.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're not sacrificing anything.
No.
Also, the whole, like, death scene is intense and ridiculous. And again, like, very giallo, where it's just like, I'm going to stab her 18,000 times.
Yeah.
And then there's even going to be, like, a shot of her heart beating, and I'm just going to stab her. You know, like, it's almost, like, uncomfortably unreal because of, like, how casually she's getting stabbed.
Yeah.
After she has the cord on her, you just see, like, the black leather hand just being like, poke.
Yeah, I know.
Poke. And again. And again.
It's like an ASMR video. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and we'll just try here and here. Yeah.
So bad. And then I forgot, like, rewatching it, I forgot that her friend also dies in all of it, too.
I forgot that, too. Yeah.
And then I was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Tone is set. Within, like, the first 10 minutes, 2 people are dead in crazy ways. Everything about, I think it's, like, pronounced giallo.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I looked
genre.
Up this... Giallo, yeah, you're right. It's like, kind of like Jell-O, but...
Yes.
But not.
But not, way better. It gives me everything I need to, like, survive as a human. Not just, like, everything I need from a movie. Like, it gives me everything, like, I need to live.
Right. Yeah.
It's so great. It especially helped. Probably, like, a couple of weeks ago, I just got, like, super intense into Argento and was just watching everything that I could find.
Nice.
I was just like, yes, this dude was a beast.
He was. I remember watching Deep Red around the same time. Maybe I was in my 20s, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, what a film.
Right? It was so
Oh,
intense. It was, well, like, of course, you have that intensity, which I never even really knew. Like, I knew the term, I'm going to mess it up every time.
I know, right?
Giallo.
Yeah.
Giallo, I guess. Yeah.
Jello Biafra. It's like
Oh my God. Amazing.
I feel like we should refer to it only as that now. But.
Jello Biafra films.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's another thing about the Giallo films that I like. I love it so much because it seems almost fake. Like, why would someone choose to do audio the way that they do in Giallo films, where it's just like everyone's gonna speak whatever language that they speak, and they're gonna like talk to each other, and we're gonna overdub it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not fine. Like,
It's not
everyone
fun.
can clearly tell that you're an overdubbed weird old German man. They were like, that's fine. And I just love that they were okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, there's something about that, of that time, or I don't know in particular, that genre or attitude. I'm just like, yeah, give me more of that.
Well, it's funny because especially in stuff like Suspiria, like it adds to the disjointedness of it.
Yeah,
You know, like
it does.
almost, yeah, like going back to the dream or the nightmare kind of vibe. It's like, do you know when you're like having a dream and like you're engaging with people and some of them might be like your partner in your dream or something like this, but they're not people you know in real life.
Yeah, totally.
It's that feeling. It's expressed so
Yes.
well in this movie.
It's just like there's so many things about this movie that like I really appreciate. If movies were only this, I would be so happy. Like, if all movies were giallo films of just like crazy weird stories, wicked weird murders,
Yeah.
black leather hands killing people in the night in the weirdest ways,
Yeah.
I'd be totally fine.
Well, yeah, and I think that, you know, people share that sentiment because I feel like that's what the director of Love Witch probably
Uh-huh.
wanted to get across too. Like I think
Yeah.
she probably had the same passion there.
That sweet spot in cinema that's just so strange. And like that's the thing. I guess there are new directors trying to like kind of recreate the giallo vibe and everything, but like it's never going to be the same.
No.
Like, it's
No.
never going to be the same. So
No.
like I just have such a special spot in my heart for like just the absurdity of those films.
Yeah. It's real, they really are absurd, but in like the coolest way.
Yeah, like and it's like they're so formulaic. In theory, if someone explained them to me, I'd be like, oh, they basically follow the same sort of structure constantly. Like, I'd be like, ugh, whatever.
Yeah.
But it seems like with every film, they try to outdo your expectations. You think like 3 people are gonna die, we're gonna kill 8. And it's like for no reason. And
Yeah.
it's just like, also, they're not going to be normal deaths. They're going to be crazy, bonkers, elaborate, just the weirdest stuff is going to happen to these people.
Yeah.
So literally every time you go anywhere in your life, you're going to be terrified that like something could happen to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's very true. It's very true. Well, even like you were saying with the one up thing for each film, like that's what Argento I feel like was doing here in terms of giallo anyway, because he added the supernatural element to it, which apparently before they were like their bread and butter was very like, this is a very cut and dry murder story or something.
Yeah. So basically giallo is Italian for yellow.
Yes.
Which is just like kind of as a callback to the crime mystery paperback novels that had a yellow cover. And so they started adapting them to movies. In Italy, as far as I understand, giallo film is just kind of like a thriller, mystery, murdery, horror sort of, kind of just a genre. But us turds in North America are like, no, that's like a deep sub genre where we like break it down and we put like even more stipulations on it, where it's just like, no, there's like, but it's true. Like everything I've watched, it does kind of follow this structure.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a thriller horror genre that has mystery or detective elements and often contains slasher, crime fiction, psychological thriller, physiological horror, sexploitation.
Yeah.
so much, but less frequently supernatural horror elements. I kind of like was like, yeah, that's not as common, but I have seen two by Argento that have supernatural or unexplained elements in it.
Yeah, he's like the guy that does it though.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool that you would do that because I feel like I'm gonna turn it up even more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it witches.
One of the things I was confused about is, yes, okay, Helena Marcos opened the school. She's the head witch. She's the director of the school. Are the other girls attending also witches, or are they just students? Like, I never really figured that out.
For the 1977 version, I don't think the dancers are involved for the most part, except for that one male dancer.
Yes.
I feel like he's like being manipulated or something's happening to him.
Yeah.
Because especially when Susie wakes up the next day after Sarah like inevitably dies in barbed wire.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Where's Sarah?" Whatever directress or like whatever teacher is super aggressive.
Yeah, Miss
What's her name?
Trunchbull.
Yes.
She's not, but she looks like Miss Trunchbull and she acts like her.
Like legitimately in my head, she is a cross between Frau from Young Frankenstein and what was the other one? Whatever, I forget her name, from Austin Powers. Bring in the Fembots! Woman.
Yeah.
That character? But that's like all I have in my head. Anyway, when she's like, she just disappeared. She left this morning and she's gone.
Yeah.
And then he comes out of the room and he was like, "You saw her leave?" And he was like, "I heard her leave. I heard the door close and footsteps and there was a car beeping. Someone must have been waiting." I was like, "Oh boy, you're being manipulated or something's happening."
Yeah, very coached.
Yeah, so I was like, you're either part of it or you're under a spell or you have no money and they're just telling you to do this, or like he was very puppety.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the impression I got too, is that the other dancers, the girls that were also students, weren't involved. And that really, because it was only the teachers and the director that were witches. And also like that guy that they said that is just like super ugly. Look at his teeth. Oh yeah,
that
he
guy?
had new teeth. That was such a weird dream thing to. It's like they specifically mention him having new teeth,
right?
and it's
like,
so creepy.
It's so weird. He was like, "Isn't he ugly? You can say it. He only speaks Romanian."
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what's happening right now? But yeah, he was part of it. So I don't know, but like I'm just trying to like think back to the end scene. I think it was just the teachers, weird ugly Romanian, and the young boy that like whatever his name was. I think that was the only ones that they like expressly showed you in that room to be like bad dudes.
Yeah, maybe the cooks too.
Oh yeah, they for sure are terrible. For sure. But okay, speaking of them, like I have to like talk about the scene where Susie first gets manipulated by the witches because it's so good.
Okay.
When she's walking down the hall for like the first class that she's ever gonna have at the academy.
Yeah.
That hall, first of all,
I know,
with like crushed patterned red velvet fabric on the wall,
just like drooping around.
Happening?
I know.
Shiny black pillars, just it's beautiful. She's walking down and then is like being very like deer in the headlights sort of vibe.
Yeah.
With the cook and that tiny little creepy kid.
Yeah.
Alexander or something.
I don't even remember you have a name. Yeah.
Weird creepy kid. They're just in the hall for some reason polishing silver or something, polishing things, but it's very clearly she's polishing some sort of crystal of some sort. They have like a very long strange back and forth glance, and then she just puts a spell on her by like putting rays of light from this crystal all over her.
Yeah, she kind of flashes it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Also super creepy. I forgot until I rewatched it. While the cook is like basically with Susie's brain with a crystal, the little creepy boy like is smiling, and as soon as the crystal stops, he like stops smiling again.
Oh, that's so creepy. I never looked at his face when he was doing it. I was kind of the Susie aspect where I was just like, oh, this is so weird. What's happening?
Yeah, but it's like it makes sense after watching that again. I was like, oh, that's why he got bit by the dog. You loser, you deserve it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, after all of that, like Susie gets very ill and whatever, and eventually passes out.
Yeah.
when she's in on point.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful shot. On point, zigzagging around and passes out.
Yeah, in the middle of dance class.
Everything about that scene is so good.
Yeah.
All of that is beautiful. But it's like, again, like another just way that the witches manipulated her to stay because she didn't want to stay. And then they were like, oh, you're very strong-willed and defiant. Okay, we're going to put a crystal spell on you and you're going to pass out and we're going to make you drink red wine. Here.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing, too. I don't really understand their end game. I guess if they have to kill students, then...
Right?
Okay, but why go through all the other hoops of that?
That's the thing. Like, watching it again, I'm like, why do you have the academy? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what does it matter if Susie stays there or not?
That's what I was wondering, too. And and the other thing I thought was weird, like, again, like, you gotta understand, well, for people watching, you gotta understand, this is painted with so many, like, nightmare visuals that it is a very amazing film to watch. But, like, when we get to that scene where Susie realizes that Patricia was talking about the iris flower being like a secret layer. Like,
yes.
Yeah. She goes through a secret door and she's going through, and I don't really understand. She goes into this other area of the house, this secret area, and it's just more of the same stuff, except it's where the director sleeps also. And they're not even doing anything particularly witchy. They're sitting there talking about how they don't like Susie. And that's it.
Like, I think the witchiest witch part of this movie is, I guess, Madame Blanc being like, we have to kill her. Like, she must vanish. And then she drinks a goblet and is like, Marcos gives me powers. That and, like, the crystal.
Yeah.
There's like, actually, no, it's not very evident, but I feel it's obviously because of the witches. The dog killing his owner.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yes. Thank you for bringing that up. I want to talk about that. So we have a blind man who has a seeing eye dog, German Shepherd, who is working as a pianist in the school. And apparently his dog attacks a kid, which may or may not have been true. And he gets kicked out. And on the way home in the night, there's like a weird haunting sequence where clearly there's supernatural elements at play. And his dog turns on him and kills him. I found this, I was actually looking to see if this was some kind of a trope, because I found this to be very reminiscent of the Talipo urban legend. Do you know what I mean? Like, what?
No, what is this?
It's a scary story, and I think they even do it in the new Scary Story movie, but it's like there's a disembodied voice outside, and presumably it's from a undead person, and it's like an urban legend, and they say like Mitai Dodi Walker, and then the dog keeps responding, and he says Lynchy Kinchy Collie Molly Dingo Dingo. And they go back and forth like that, and the voice gets louder, and the dog gets louder, and the voice gets louder. So, like, it's like Marco Polo almost. Like, they're trying to... And it's like the owner of the dog gets really freaked out because the dog keeps talking back. And then eventually the disembodied voice finds them, and it's like a dead person or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But this idea of, like, a supernatural force affecting your animal companion and making it betray you, it just seemed like a thing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because, like, he took a lot from fairy tales and stories and fables.
Yeah, because it reminded me so much of that.
I forgot a lot of the examples, but I know there's 2 or 3. I can only remember 2 right now, unfortunately. But where they used shadows moving in a very strange way to symbolize witches at work.
Right.
They're doing something. It actually happens in the very beginning when Susie's getting a ride to the school. There's like a shot where the cab kind of goes by and there's like a bolt of lightning and you can see almost like like
reflected,
weird
yes,
shadowy something on some of the trees.
Yes, you're right.
And it is echoed a couple of times throughout the film, but the other time that I can remember right now is during that man's death scene is when it's basically like I don't even know, like a courtyard or something. There's 2 or 3 very tall, very important looking marble buildings.
Yeah.
And he's just in the middle of them. And like on one of them, there starts to be like kind of weird, strange patterns of shadows on it.
Yes.
And then it just does a zoom up very close of this eagle hawk sort of thing on the top of one. Does that beautiful shot down like as if it came alive and was flying at them.
Yeah.
And then Yeah, there's just barking for a bit and then he eats his owner.
Yeah. And that was a good shot where it was like supposedly, I guess they were trying to imply that the statue of the bird flew away. I don't
I
know.
think so, because I think they even added like the sounds of wings flapping and stuff. Like they
Yeah.
tried to make it seem,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I don't know either.
There are a lot of things about this movie where I'm like, I don't know though.
Right.
I don't know what that is or means or whatever.
Yeah. There wasn't any real, like, aside from, like, potentially, like, symbolic stuff, there wasn't really any sort of real witchcraft.
No.
Their made-up stuff there was, but...
Is there even talk of witches a lot? There's only, like, the part where Susie talks to the strange man that for some reason wrote a book about it.
Yeah, I feel like that was supposed to give us a lot of context, and I don't know.
What did he say? Like,
Oh, he told us about
it's negative, and witchcraft is just negative and destructive, and it's just like it's only used for harm.
Yeah.
It's used to accumulate great personal wealth, but it comes at the negative for other people, like they have to take lives or manipulate or damage or hurt other people.
Yeah, and he did say that it was the witch Helena Marcos that invented the school or whatever.
Yes, which is so great, where he's like, it was a school for dance and a cult, but then she died in a fire because people were annoyed by her occult biz.
Right.
So they just dance now.
Yeah.
But
They rebranded.
he also, yeah, we're good. But he also said that, which I really liked, because again, Argento gives you the information on how everything's gonna end.
Yeah.
Before it ends. But he's like, the coven is like a snake. So if you remove the head, everyone else is harmless. So if you get rid of, I forget, he probably had a term for it, but if you get rid of like the head witch,
yeah,
all of the other ones will just be harmless and not have any power. Essentially what Susie does.
that is what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that I do think that was an interesting, I was really grasping at straws here, but in terms of like real paganism and real witchcraft and stuff like that, I did think that there was kind of something interesting about like the triple goddess aspect and the whole thing about this being a Three Mothers trilogy.
Yeah.
Because like he called his trilogy The Three Mothers, which was this movie, Suspiria, Inferno, and then Mother of Tears, which I think came out in 2007.
Which apparently is not good, but...
Oh, no? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, so Argento and Nickelodeon crafted the overarching mythology of the Three Mothers based off of a Thomas de Quincey, inspired by, I guess, an English essayist Thomas de Quincey book called Suspiria de Profundis, and where he talks about like the three sorrows,
right?
Which is kind of like the thing,
yeah,
Mother Superiorum, or however you say it. I think it translates to like sighs from the depths,
right? I think Mother of Sighs or something.
Yeah.
That
was the inspiration for Suspiria and Helena Marcos, basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's very cool. I tried to listen or find Suspiria de Profundis to like read or listen to. I did not have any luck. Like the little bits that I listened to, I was like, I have no idea what this means. It was written in 1845 by some weird dude. I was like, ugh, words are hard.
Oh my God, yeah.
I don't fully know what it was about, but obviously it was creepy and Argento was into it, so.
Yeah. Well, we got this great movie out of it, so that's awesome.
Well, I have a bunch of weird facts here.
Let's go for some weird facts.
Argento's hands are the disembodied hands in Suspiria.
Oh, the murderers.
Yeah, and apparently he is the disembodied hands in a lot of his films.
That's such a fun little... It's kind of like not to mention Stephen King again in this podcast, but it's kind of just like his little signature performance and everything.
Yeah. But also like very Hitchcock too, which apparently was like Psycho was like a really big inspiration for the giallo movement. So
I could see that for sure.
That makes sense. When they originally wrote it, they had plans for all of the dancers to be like 10 or 12.
Yes, I did read that. And
yeah. So like I gave a lot of passes after I knew that to like some of the dialogue and stuff, because I was like, maybe they didn't rewrite that scene after they had to turn them to 20-year-olds.
And like they didn't. Okay, there's a Mental Floss article, again, I'll link it below, and they said eventually Argento relented and agreed to recast the students as teenagers. However, he and Nickelodeon did not update the script to reflect this.
Okay, perfect, because there's one scene in particular with Olga and Sarah, and they're like
I know it.
It's so bad. I read somewhere that people with names that start with S are snakes. And she just sticks her tongue out. Like, they just have this like weird like
I know.
for like 30 seconds it feels.
It's
like,
off-putting.
yeah, but like watching it when I like didn't know any of this information, I was just like, maybe things are different in Italy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then when I was like, oh, you're supposed to be 10 or 12, that makes a lot more sense.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. What a weird choice not to update the script. You know who else did that? And I wonder if it was Italian too. I'm going to probably get this so wrong, but Troll 2.
Oh my God, I love.
They did the same thing. They forced the people. They wrote the script in, I want to say, Italian. It was where the writer was from, and I think it was Italy. I might be mistaken in that. But when they converted it to English translation to shoot the movie with the actors, the American actors and stuff, they would not allow them to adjust the dialogue at all. So, of course, you got those weird-ass parts in it that make no sense.
I love it.
Like... Yeah.
Like, I find that so endearing for some reason. Oh, one other thing that I read that I really liked, Argento wanted to keep this sort of young naivete, like ignorant mindset of like a 10 or 12-year-old.
Yeah.
So he raised all of the doorknobs to be like eye level height.
Right.
So like all of the actresses were opening doors as if they were tiny little children.
Yes. It's almost like a weird Alice in Wonderland feel.
Very much so. Yeah.
No, that was an interesting set deck thing. Yeah.
I liked it. It works.
Have you ever watched Masters of Horror? Do you remember that 2005 show?
It sounds so familiar.
It was
Masters of Horror?
Yeah, Mick Garris produced it, and he would just like throw money at directors, like horror directors, and be like, hey, make an hour of whatever you want. And Argento did one. He did one called Jennifer. I quite liked it. It's one of my favorites.
I don't really remember this, but I feel like I'm going to track it down and watch it now.
Yeah, I think it's on like Shudder or one of those, you know.
Because like I love shit like that. I love
good.
Weird little anthology sort of collection-y, like, oh my God. I remember the first time I watched Body Bags.
I just watched that the other day, actually.
It's so good.
It is so good. It's the in-between that makes that stuff. That's why Elvira is so good, too. It's like that.
I know.
Yeah.
But, like, it made me so bummed after watching it, honestly, because I was like, what am I going to do when John Carpenter dies?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There's no one to fill that void.
True.
I might weep.
I think that about Stephen King, too.
Oh, really? If it makes you feel any better, there's like this whole group of men that look like Stephen King that are always around. So like, have you not noticed this? Because I feel like I've seen Stephen King in my adult life like 158 times. Just like going to Walmart and being like, oh my God, is that Stephen King? It's like, oh no, that's some guy who lives in Kentville. Rachel, like, cool it.
I got to tell you a funny story. One time when I was in working in film, I had to go to Walmart on an errand. And I went there and I saw an older dude and I was like, I think I recognize that dude, but not from my life. Oh my God, it's Henry Rollins. And so I chased him outside and I wasn't fast enough and he got into a tour bus and I jumped on the tour bus and I said, hello. And I called inside and this like big guy came to the door and he was like, can I help you? And I was like, I think I just saw Henry Rollins come into this bus. And he started laughing and he went to the back of the bus and then Henry Rollins came out and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. And I got him to sign like my work agenda because that's all I had on me.
Are you kidding me? What is your life?
I know. So you can find some interesting folks at Walmart.
So maybe I did see Stephen King 158 times.
One thing that I did really love was the end of this movie. So after Susie defeats her undead friend and the head witch, she runs out of the falling apart house that's set aflame. And she like smiles, but it's not like a crazy smile. It's like I just beat this and now I can move on with my life smile. It is such a great ending.
Yeah, she's just almost like a phew.
Yeah.
I made it. Like, huzzah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a really nice ending.
There's like an article all about it too, I found.
Just like the ending?
Yeah, just her smiling.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But anyway, what were you going to say? I
do feel like I've seen Argento like end films or like do something similar where it's just like everything burns now. The end. I feel like that was the thing I've seen before. I guess I'll just talk about like the one scene that I really enjoy is where Susie like starts to put everything together when she realizes that they're probably poisoning her or giving her something in her food. when she throws it all in the toilet. Again, everything is super lit with intense red light, I think. And she's ditching all of her food in the toilet and then flushes it and then pours the apparently red wine that will help build up her blood, which I don't think is a real thing.
No.
But whatever.
Despite the doctor saying that.
I know. It cures anemia. It's like, no, it doesn't. She pours her quote wine unquote down the drain, and it's like so gross. And she's like scrubbing to get rid of it. And then the bat comes in. That crazy bat comes in and
I forgot about the bat. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, and you're like, I guess this is happening. Again, there's so much in the movie where you're like, does this have to do with the witches, or is this just a thing that's happening? Like, I don't know. Anyway, kills the bat and then realizes, like, she finds the note and realizes that she can count the steps, and that's when she like figures out the mystery, where she's like, oh right, they don't leave the academy and I can count their steps. She figures it out. All of that was so beautiful, even though I guess like compared to other scenes in the movie, like not as exciting. There's not too much on the not heightened. But just to like watch her figure it out, go through the halls and like trust herself.
Yes, it is good.
Put herself in crazy creepy situations. It's very good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you always want to be the one that wants to explore and finish it, but like most of us would be too scared in real life.
Oh my god, for sure.
Yeah.
I would have the scene when Sarah's being chased down to be murdered.
Yeah.
When she's in the attic and she accidentally bumps into the wall and it opens up this door and all you see are like shapes of blue color moving and like whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yes.
And she looks at it and is like, nope, and walks away. And I was like, yeah, girl, I would not be going in there either.
Yeah.
Totally.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, Susie just goes right into it. She's just like, oh, the door is this, and I'm going to go in here. And it was like, I would not be doing that. I would have just been leaving the academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have packed up my, like, 2 tiny bags and been like, bye.
One of the greatest scenes that I thought was one of the greatest scenes was like after the maggots fall from the ceiling, which is so creepy and gross, and all the girls end up sleeping like in like one of the dance halls or something together, and it's all the red light, and for some reason they put out hung a bunch of sheets, which makes no sense.
I know.
But they did. And then the director, the witch director, is behind the one that Sarah and Susie are sleeping in front of. It is so creepy.
My favorite part about that shot, okay, there's 2 things. One, Helena Marcos is supposed to be super old. You see her at the end. She's molded. She's old.
Yeah.
The way she sits down and lies down in that bed is like robotic. She puts her butt down and she just like lies down. And I go to bed now. Yes. Like, I was just like, who moves like that?
It was odd.
First of all.
Yeah.
But then also, I love that at the end of her bed, they put a nightstand with a lamp. I was like, what is it? Why do you need that in your temporary, weird dance hall bedroom? Where's that plugged into? What is happening? Why are you doing that?
Also, doesn't she sleep in that weird secret room anyway? Like, she wasn't even going to be affected by that.
That is a very valid point. Because I was like, no, her bedroom's somewhere around there. No, it's like behind Madame Blanc's office.
Yeah.
So she was fine.
Yeah, it was weird, but
I'm okay with it.
I'm too. It's a great scene.
Yeah, it's good. It is very creepy, especially when the two, like Susie and Sarah, are communicating and like whispering in their faces. It's such a tight, close shot of the two of them, just drenched in red, just whispering like little girls. It was so good. I don't think there was much in this film that I didn't like or thought was weird or stupid or anything. It's pretty great.
I agree. Like, it's noted as one of the best horror films to watch. So for that reason alone, like, put it in your friggin' to-be-watched library.
Mm-hmm. And if you're a grown person that has not seen this movie, remember dreamlike state. Keep that in your head to be like, oh, it's like a fairy tale or like a nightmare or something like that. Because I hate when people don't watch stuff when they're young and watch it when they're older. Like classic Amazing Beautiful Things, and they watch it when they're like 32. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I hate that movie. So unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you did the responsible and right thing and watched it when you were younger, you would have appreciated it.
And you would understand the magic.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, I do get bummed when people don't watch stuff when they're younger And they're like, I guess, I don't know, The Goonies is okay, I guess. And I'm like, The Goonies is great. If you didn't watch it when you were like 11, yeah, you would be like, this movie's kind of dumb.
Yeah, that's a thing. You gotta watch all that. You gotta watch all that when you're a kid to
Yeah,
have the magic take hold and stay with you, I think.
yeah. Or just be open-minded, like watching Suspiria and being like, I'll just accept whatever happens.
Yes. Because you really have to with Suspiria.
You do.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I feel like it's a very large testament to how good the movie is. The fact that I don't care about the dialogue or the plot. Like, I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's just such a unique it's a unique experience. It's literally like watching somebody show a nightmare on screen.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Surprisingly, of all of like the films, we don't have 4 hours of conversation about this.
That might be better.
We'll talk about practical magic for 8 hours, sure.
I know, but it's but maybe that's because of the difference in the movie structure.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of scenes to rip apart and like poke at and be like, what the was even happening there?
I know.
Comical, like yeah, maybe there's scenes where I'm like, what the even happened there? But I'm like, great.
Oh
it was good.
I know. Yeah, this movie's it's so nice, and if you like horror or you like movies about witches, it's so worth checking out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we should also let people know that we have our next 2 podcasts planned, which we're pretty excited about.
Yeah.
I won't say what the next one's going to be right off, but I will say that I don't think we'll be able to top that.
I love that a lot. Cool.
And I'll do a sweet reference because I feel like that's how they ended the movie. They were like, "You were watching Suspiria."
Yes. I love it.
You have been listening to Coven Slumber Party. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us tonight. We hope you enjoyed it. You can find more from Ray and 5x5 in the description box, and also more about Calling Corners, as well as any links to articles we referenced during our chat. See you at the next slumber party.